So I just wanted to, establish that there was a cyclone that came through Brisbane.
For people on this side of the pond, that's called a hurricane. Bigger deal. Cyclone sounds minor. I don't know why, but cyclone, yeah, hurricane. You got hit by a hurricane. It just because it spins the wrong direction or something down there. It's just
Is it the hurricane? Does the hurricane still start out in the sea and comes to land, or does it do
yeah,
the
it's it's
opposite?
it's created by like ocean currents and the heat and the moisture and the current. They just
Okay,
call it something
yeah.
different down south. That's
So
it.
we just call it something different. So
Yeah.
yes, I don't know why. I don't know the difference. I have to
Typhoons
look
and
that up.
cyclones there, hurricanes here.
Okay, so lots of wind and rain was predicted. Let's go with that. So it was the Monday, and all of our government authorities were all starting you need to batten down, you need to make sure your outside area is all tidied up and there's nothing that can fly around. And so this started on the Monday.
Mhm.
And so, we're all like, oh, it'll probably blow away. Like, Brisbane doesn't get hit with a cyclone. The last time we had any event like this was in 1974. So, just on 50 years ago. Like, we just don't live in that environment. Now, interestingly, up the coast of Queensland, they have them all the time.
Mm.
So there was a little bit of carry on going on. Oh, you guys don't even know what a cyclone is. This is a category two. We get category fives. What do you want about? So there was all this sort of weird mixture of, oh, don't even worry about it. And that's that Aussie, she'll be right, mate, approach. So that was going on, mixed in with this is really important. You need to make sure you're prepared. Um, Make sure you have supplies. So within 24 hours, there was no milk, there was no bread, there
No
was no
toilet paper.
toilet paper
Yeah,
in any of the
happened here.
major supermarkets.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happened by the Tuesday. And on that Tuesday, I was traveling with my daughter. And of course, she'd been caught up in all of this as well. And we were going to pick her car up. Ironically, I found it ironic. She just had her car put in to be all the hail dints to be taken out of it. And
Okay.
we were picking it up on the Tuesday. So it's now in prime condition. And we were driving it home only to be hit with a cyclone a few days later, right? Anyway, we were picking her car up, and she was talking about how she actually came from this really positive approach about, oh, it's really good that there's such good messaging around what we need to prepare for. I've certainly not lived through a cyclone before, Mum. I don't know what to do. It's been great. Our landlord has sent us a personal note to let us know which areas of the yard tends to flood so that we can keep an eye on it. She had all this sort of, great messaging around all of that for her personally, but also on a broader scale. And and she said, "Oh, it's so good to be prepared for when it comes." And I was like, she said, because now we know what's going to happen. I can be prepared for Friday because it was predicted for Friday.
Hmm.
And I said to her, we don't we don't actually know. Like, what are we preparing for? Like we're always preparing. This isn't unusual. We're always in this, well, let's have all these things in place to make sure, but we don't actually know what's going to happen the next minute or the next half an hour. And so there's this sort of weird feeling of, well, okay, we can prepare, but we don't actually, we, what, we're always doing this. This isn't unusual, but she was celebrating the fact that we could prepare for this.
You can prepare for the known. What you think you know is the thing that's going to happen, not what you don't expect to happen.
Yes. And this is where it gets a little more interesting because we got to the Thursday and it was something like, and no one's allowed to quote me on this because if you lived through this in the last week, you know that every day just molded into the next day. So I may not get these quite right. But it was almost like on the Thursday, they went, oh, it's a category 1 now. It's staying out in the ocean longer. We don't know when it's going to hit. It may not hit yet. I don't know. We don't know. But be prepared. And so we're looking outside our windows going, it's blue sky. What cyclone? At this point on the Thursday, most people had been asked to stay home from work. It's dead quiet. Like you, like no traffic on the road, nothing. No one's going anywhere. And it's a beautiful sunny day and nothing's happening. Businesses are closing down. My daughter and her fiance were told not to go back into work. They had contingency plans of if there was emergency stuff, but otherwise, just no, just stay in your house. And that was the messaging from the government. Nothing happened on Thursday. And on Friday, now I was starting to get anxious because, and I assessed why it was I was getting anxious. It was because I'd been preparing and preparing and preparing, and nothing was happening. So it was almost like we were doing this massive preparation for nothing because you looked outside and the outside weather did not match what we were preparing for, and we had no absolutes. And so even my husband got to stay home on the Friday. Nothing happened on the Friday. And then we got to Saturday and it was a little more overcast and it kind of rained a bit. And we're all going, really? We've just had 2 days off work. The amount of business that would have been impacted by that. Oh my goodness. For what purpose? And then, of course, it hit on Saturday night. There was a lot of wind, a lot of rain. Power was lost across, I think the numbers were like 3 to 500,000 um, properties. So that could include businesses and private residences. And so Saturday, Sunday was pretty it was a loud storm. That's what I'm going to call it. It was a lot of wind and a lot of rain and a bit of flooding that happened because there was just downpour of rain. But we were sitting in our house going, we have been preparing for this for 5 days and nothing really happened. We did lose our power for about 5 hours overnight, um, but it was on by 8 o'clock the following morning. And that was it. That was all that happened. And it just made me, so I was feeling anxious on the Friday. I noticed that everybody else that I spoke to had some level of anxiety, whether it's like, I don't know if I've done enough. Have I done enough prep? Oh, now they're saying that anything that you can just easily pick up in your hand, you need to put somewhere away because the wind will pick that up. So maybe I now have to spend another 3 hours going around and making sure that everything's packed away. Like there's all this anxiety about being prepared. And then, as it was a big storm because by the time it hit land, it was ex-tropical cyclone. And by Monday, we're all going, cyclone, there you go. We had a cyclone. And everything's back to normal. Businesses back open. Pretty much, I think they're down to about 40,000 properties that don't have power. So it's pretty much done. Um, yep. It's
And it's
this
it's
like
and it's warm there, right? It's not like it's a cold season or
Correct. It's 28, 30 degrees. Um, uh, it's just like we're almost going, did we have a cyclone? Was that a thing? But there was so much energy put into the preparation the 6 days prior to it actually hitting. And and it made me wonder about this, what impact preparing for the unknown, because nobody knew what it would be, what impact that actually has on us individually and how often we actually do it.
And what did you determine that to be?
That we can never prepare for the unknown because that's the actual point, is that it's unknown. So we spend all this energy and time and effort in preparation, and yet there is there's no guarantee of what that unknown will be.
So are you preparing for your imagination?
I think so. I think people had a whole lot of ideas of roofs being thrown off and um, trampolines being, we even talked about this. It's not our stuff that's going to be the problem. It's the trampoline from next door that they forgot to tie down that will fly into.
That happened here. That was our trampoline. That was our it was tied down. It wasn't tied down for 200-kilometer-an-hour wind though. Yeah,
And it's like, but you can't control that, right? I
no. And that was for us, that was so sudden. We had zero warning, maybe 10 minutes. Oh, there's a storm coming. Ooh, it's going to be a big thunderstorm. We had no idea what it was going to be. No, there was no preparing for the damage that that storm that we experienced had. It was 10 minutes long and it was disastrous for a wide swath of this province.
So maybe a little bit of preparation would have been good, maybe not 6 days worth of it. I'm just questioning their 6 days of preparation and fear.
You know what? I'm glad we didn't get warning for that because I think that would have freaked me out way worse than what we experienced in that 10 minutes.
And
I,
this is what,
maybe even less, maybe five. I don't know. Like maybe 10 is a stretch.
right, it was sort of been and it was done and dusted really quickly.
Very fast.
And you can't control whether you've, even with our 6 days preparation, if we applied that to the 10-minute storm that you guys had, it was in the last year or so or something, wasn't it?
2022?
Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was in the period of time that I've known you.
Yes, it
Because I
is.
remember the
Yes, it is.
story.
Yes, it is.
It's like, would you have tied the trampoline down any better than you did? It was still going to be whipped up
If I
anyway.
knew a week in advance we were going to have a tornado come through, which is essentially the winds that we had, um, I maybe we would have taken it down and put it inside. I don't know. Maybe because it's the one thing that's that loose.
Um, and I get that there's some benefit in that. But retrospectively, it's all well and good, right? But the stress that people went under in those 6 days leading up to the a big storm. Yes, it was a big storm, and yes, people are impacted, and yes, there was flooding, and yes, there was water coming in sideways. Like we did have water coming in underneath our windows into the windowsill, and we did have water coming in under our doors, so towels were rolled up and just put along the, how doors, like your front door doesn't completely seal.
Right. Yeah.
So, we had some water, but just some dampness, not really water, because there were towels, right? So the rain was coming in kind of horizontally. So yes, that's a thing. Um, but I just think that the 6 days of stress and preparation, was maybe not necessary for the impact that it had on people's mental state.
I think in general, the reason that stuff happens is out of what do you call it? Um, the best intentions of people, wanting everybody to be safe, right? So they're getting the information out there because we're in these like crazy news cycles where like everything is a hurry or a mess or a whatever. We want to make sure that everybody is clear, knows what they need to do, and everyone's prepared. And I think sometimes it can be a bit much, and it gets people stirred up
Yes.
into a bit of a frenzy. Um,
Yeah, there were like plans of, oh, you have to fill the bathtub with water, so in case the sewage gets cut off, you've got to have a go bag. Make sure you've got everything. And have you thought about what you'll take from your house? It's like, well, if my street floods, I'm not going anywhere. Where do I go? Like, I made a list, but I wasn't going to go anywhere because I wouldn't have been able to get out because the street would have been flooded.
so do you think you felt the same anxiety that others did, or do you think yours was like a more mild version of that?
Well, I saw two different ways that it happened, and I think this happens all the time with people just in general. I mean, yes, this is an extreme circumstance that highlighted it. Some people just denied that it was even coming at all and went, it's nothing. I'm just going to get on with my life. I can't visualize it. It's not a thing. And then there was the other camps like, I have to be over prepared. I need to have all of these things in place. I have to have it all so that just in case. And they spent all their energy in that rather than getting on with their week. So their life stopped to prepare. And I wondered whether we do that a lot. We're busy preparing and we don't live our life,
Okay.
or we just don't do any preparation at all. And we're just doing things, and then things can come up and surprise us. And I don't know that one is right or wrong. It's just I noticed there was just a real exaggeration in both versions.
I'm going to share mine now because I kind of feel like I got into that, got into the weeds, and I stayed there preparing for something that I could not prepare for. Um, Different than a cyclone. The cyclone is in my head. I'm preparing for a workshop that I did today, and one of the things that we do is we pre-plan the groups, like who's going to be in what group, so that people know what role they have to, what role they're doing. So when they show up, they're ready and are good to go. So I did my damnedest to create groups that I was pretty confident was going to be pretty set. And if I needed to make any tweaks, I put all my, I'm going to call them problem childhood, but they were people who I wasn't sure were going to come. They missed the first session. I already knew that they weren't going to come, things like that. So I kind of hemmed them off into another group. But nothing could have prepared me for when I came today, and I had some of them and then a bunch of other people not come, and all of my groups were messed up. So I had to rely on my ability to, manage something like that on the spot in the brief amount of time that I did to get things reorganized. But I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out how I could prepare myself so this would not be an issue.
And yet it became the issue.
I mean, I think I did a good job doing the best I could with the information that I had, but I couldn't have prepared any better than that. But I was still like picking at it. Oh, what if I did this? Or what if anyways. So had to start laughing at myself because this was not on my radar as one of the things I prepare for, but I over prepare for everything. Because I want to be as prepared as I can be. But every time I do that, something gets tossed, like a wrench gets tossed into it, and I have to do whatever's best in the moment based on my own personal whatever need that day. And I always figure out a way. However, I still do it. I even
You
caught
still
myself
prepared regardless.
as because now I'm getting ready for next week. I have a similar situation. A couple people have dropped out completely. Now I have a different, and I'm trying to do the same thing. And I just burst out laughing. 10 minutes before we got on the call saying, I'm still doing it. I'm still preparing for the unknown, which I can't know. So why
Yeah.
not do my best crack at it, set it up, send it out. That's the list for now. And next Thursday morning, when I show up and the people show up, I will do the same thing I did today. But I'm still going to over prepare. Like it's almost a part of my DNA that I need to make sure that I've done all that I can do. But it's ridiculous. If I just prepared myself to know that I will handle it, this is my best guess, and stick with it, I would save myself so much stress.
Yeah, and that ability to be agile and our confidence in our ability to provide some move like provide the answer in the moment.
Yeah.
Have the solution right then and there rather than trying to prepare it.
And I'm not alone. I have a partner in this deal too, right? So I can always bounce things off of her. I don't have to do it alone necessarily. I got support. There is another thing that has been going on around here. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this new guy. He's president of the United States, and he kind of does some weird shit. And he's every day is chaotic about what new decision they made about tariffs against us, or maybe against you too. I don't know, whatever.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, no, we're in the tariff
so
storm.
yeah, you're related to the people ripping them off. So, um, it's ridiculous, but it's the same thing. People are trying to prepare for the unknown. It
And
doesn't.
he represents the
Yeah, you're
complete
right. Like he's like this
unknown.
giant. He's a giant cyclone, is what it is. And you don't know what's coming, but you don't know what's coming all the time. But the fixation on trying to prepare for what you can't control. So the thing that I was thinking about initially when you brought up this topic is that you can't prepare for the unknown. You can only prepare yourself for the situation of the unknown, which for me means prepping your energy, how trusting in yourself, trusting that you've worked it out before, trusting or thinking back to times when things have been uncertain, but you managed away. So finding the energy there that is uplifting and supportive, and because you can't control any of that. And in most cases, you have nothing you can do about it. Your government's going to make a decision what they're going to do in retaliation or whatever. But if you can manage your own energy and what you're focusing on and what you're not giving attention to, you can rise above that and not let it drag you down as the fear
And
mongering
getting,
stuff
yes,
that happens. And it's so easy to get dragged, dragged
dragged into
down.
the vortex,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of that. And I found that so one of the small examples in the cyclone was the family chat was going on, and there was the, oh, we've packed the car and we know where we can go, and they're only half an hour drive away. And I'm like, oh, am I supposed to like have things put as I'm like, okay, Chris, you the practicality is that even if you could go somewhere, yeah, how about I just write a list? If I've got a list, in those moments when I'm really heightened stress of this is an emergency, my brain will not work very as effectively as it does when I'm calm.
Mm.
So while I'm calm, maybe I just write a list and I've already made all the decisions, which means I can just run around and get all the things that are on the list because the decision's already written down on a piece of paper and then I'd be good to go. And so that was one of my ways of going, well, what serves my energy the best?
What's your level of preparedness that serves you, not necessarily that is serving the
Serves,
fear that you're encountering in the moment, because that's never good.
yes. And that's the um that's what I that was the one thing that I made sure I uh kept I achieved in that vortex. There was other areas that I did get swept up in the fear and I did get caught up in the anxiety. It did activate that in me. And I noticed I sent out lots of messages to clients because I didn't know what the power would be. So I was preparing that. And that became not even a thing because the only time we lost the power was overnight on a Saturday night. And I don't need to have the power on for clients then anyway. So here I'd gone into the fear of, oh, I mightn't be available. I need to let them know. But that wasn't necessary either. So yes, if I'd just taken that one example and actually applied it across the whole 6 days, that would have probably served me better.
That makes total sense when you're clear-headed, right? Right? But I have a sneaking suspicion that the group fear kind of sucks you in a little bit, right? So even if you're watching, mom and dad, I'm sorry, but I had a conversation with my parents this weekend and we got onto a bit of the political stuff and they started spiraling in the Trump stuff. And I caught myself into that a little bit, and I'm like, you know what, I've talked enough about that subject. I think I'm good. Let's talk about something else. So I switched it because I knew for me it wasn't going to make me feel better that we continued to now churn in the same topic together and bounce things, and you start spiraling worse. So
Yeah.
I know I need to move my energy in a different place when I get there. And I've spent enough time listening to this lately. It really is pervasive. So trying to bring my attention to other areas of things that are working better um, definitely serves me in this
Again, coming
area.
back, I think the real key is what is it that I control that serves me? Because it's not always about what I can control, what I think I can control, but it's about what can I do that serves me
Mhm.
becomes the key. And that's going to be different for every person, but it's a really good overall over overarching approach to take.
Agreed.
Um, Yeah, it was a lot, but I think it was only a lot because of the preparation, and that's why I wanted to talk about this today.
It was great. When you proposed it, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to use for that. That doesn't. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure I'll figure something out. And I'm glad she's coming up with a topic because my week is full. So I'm like, good. I can work with this. And then one of my
You had a whole day of it.
one of my slow car days, I started. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I got something for that. And then it was not what I came up with. This was in my face today so hard. I'm like, yep,
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, and I think we have this all the time. I think there's little mini examples of this constantly.
Oh, I know I have this in me. It's but this was just kind of a fun thing that threw in my face. And as I'm literally writing down my two little bullet points, this is what I want to talk about. I'm working on my spreadsheet for next week and I'm going, I am still doing it. I am still literally doing it as I'm writing the note.